Oh my goodness, this nleast race. Oh, it's coming down to the wire, and what a night this was. Let's talk about it right now. Well. Welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I am Watsu-K99. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoy what you're watching, please take the time to like, share with a friend, and subscribe. I love doing the content, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch. What an amazing two nights this has been. As Mets fans, what can I say? Last night the Braves pulled even, and as dead as the Mets looked, it really felt like the Braves were poised to pull ahead heading into the series, which starts Friday night in Atlanta. At least we're thinking it's going to start Friday night in Atlanta. With Hurricane Ian, we really don't know what's going to happen as of right now. And then tonight, it looked like the Braves were poised to take the lead for just the second day since the beginning of April, because the Braves had pulled ahead of Washington early in the game, and the Mets were down early to Miami 4-0, and things really fell down. The bats have just gone into an absolute tailspin, but there was one player on the Mets who said, "Climb on my back, boys. I'm going to carry you tonight." And he has done an amazing job carrying them all month long. I'm talking about number 10, the man who should get a free meal at every Fogo de Chao for the rest of his life, Eduardo Escobar. My goodness. I'm just going to go back to the infamous quote that he said when he was struggling earlier this spring. "I understand the frustrations of the fans. One day I'm going to give them the reasons to cheer for me." Well, I'll tell you what, he has done it. Over his last 24 games, Escobar has batted 31 for 91. That's a 341 batting average, 8 home runs, 24 RBIs, an OPS of 1.049. That is elite. Aaron Judge would be proud of that, okay? And tonight, he became the first player in Mets history, in the 60-year history of this franchise, to drive home all 5 of his team's runs and have at least 5 RBI in a walk-off victory. So I want to mention just a couple of things about this night and kind of what it was like for me. Now, I didn't have the Mets game on TV living in Virginia, but I had Nationals versus Braves, and I was paying pretty decent attention to it. Not too close, but pretty decent attention to it. I mean, I expect Atlanta to win every game they play. I mean, why wouldn't I? As soon as I saw that Michael Harris came up, now Washington was leading most of this game. When Michael Harris comes up with a runner in scoring position in the 8th inning, I just assume he's going to get the hit. I don't know if it's going to be a single, a double, or whatever it's going to be, but I assume he's going to knock the run in, which he did. And, the game carried over into the 10th inning, and I'll just tell you basically how it went for me. So you had Alex Call starting for Washington on second base. Jackson Stevens was pitching for the Braves. He's very prone to he's usually either very good or very bad. He's kind of like a fat Seth Lugo. That's how I'll explain it. So it starts with Victor Robles doing the sacrifice bunt, and Stevens looks Call over to third. Call advances, but he fires over to first, and initially the umpire calls Robles safe at first base, and I thought, oh my God, first and third base, nobody out. Not even the Nationals could screw this up. Well, they sent the play over for review, and the replay did confirm Robles should have been out. So then Cesar Hernandez pinch hits. He walks on a 3-2 pitch. Now it's first and third with 1 out. Lane Thomas grounds out. That advances the runner to second base, but it didn't score the run. So at this point, you have second and third and 2 outs. And Brian Snitker elects to pitch to C.J. Abrams, who was, I think, one of the prize prospects that the Nationals got back in the Juan Soto trade. And on a 1-2 pitch, sharp ground ball into right field, well out of reach of Orlando Arcia, the second baseman, and that was it. And at that point, I knew, worst case scenario, the Mets would be tied going into this series against Atlanta. But I just got to mention a couple of things about the Mets game, because all I could really do was follow it on MLB Game Day and listen to Howie Rose calling the game on the radio. First of all, as soon as Tanner Scott, I don't know about you all, but as soon as Tanner Scott came in for the bottom of the eighth, and at this point the Mets are down 4-2, Eduardo Escobar had already hit the 2-run home run to make a 4-0 game 4-2, I immediately had a lot of hope. Tanner Scott may be the biggest stiff relief pitcher in all of baseball today. He is horrible. He blew so many games to the Braves. He has blown games. I can't remember the last 1, 2, 3 inning this guy ever had. Okay, I'm sure he's a lovely man. Stinks as a pitcher. Stinks. And he walks the bases loaded, getting 1 out in the process. In comes the king of the 3 balks himself, Richard Blyer. And Jeff McNeil pops up on the infield fly rule, so there's 2 outs. And up comes Escobar. And on an 0-1 count, hits a 2-run single, tie game going into the 9th inning. Of course, Edwin Diaz gives the Marlins no chance, strikes out the side. But I'm going to fast forward to the 10th inning, and I want to give a lot of respect here to Drew Smith. Because as dominant as Edwin Diaz was in the 9th inning, you could have made the case that Buck Showalter should have left him in for the 10th inning. He doesn't do it. He goes to Drew Smith. A lot of Mets fans have been very hard on Drew Smith, and you got to give him credit. John Birdie, the Marlins speedster, is on second base. He never even got to third. Smith gets the Marlins out 1, 2, 3, and at that point, you had to feel pretty good the Mets had a chance to do it. And I got to give Don Mattingly all the credit in the world, the soon-to-be-gone Marlins manager Don Mattingly. Because with Francisco Lindor on second base and 1 out, he walks Jeff McNeil to set up the force play, giving Eduardo Escobar a chance to win the game. You know what? If that was his idea, why not walk Escobar also? Load the bases and pitch to Mark Vientos. Why not even do that? I know you're putting the winning run on third base, but as dominant as Escobar has been in September and as overmatched as Vientos has looked, I'm going to trust Escobar a whole lot more than I will Vientos. I don't care if the winning run is on second base or third base. And Escobar knocks a single in. Lindor scores thanks to an offline throw. And the Mets win just an unbelievable game, 5-4. It is indeed the month of Escobar. And now the Mets go to Atlanta on Friday. Again, we assume it's going to be Friday. 1 game up. They only need to win 1 of these games to clinch the tiebreaker against Atlanta and assure themselves that at worst case scenario, they will be tied with the Braves at the end of that series. I will be completely happy with 2 games. I would accept 1 because at that point, the Mets just got to finish tied and they win that division. What a race this is. I mean, I try to be as calm as I could even after last night's loss. But once it got to about the 6th inning, I was starting to get really, really worried. I just really wondered if the Mets had any juice left in the tank. And you know what? There's still a lot of holes in this lineup. Without Starling Marte, this lineup feels very incomplete. But Eduardo Escobar did what he had to do. He carried the team for tonight. He's done an amazing job all month. And now it's time for some other guys in this lineup to step up. Preferably anybody in the DH spot. That would be nice. So, it's an off day on Thursday. Now it's down to Cobb County, to Truist Park, Mets Braves. That rivalry that as Mets fans has haunted us going back to the late 1990s. It's time to reverse the script. It's time to kick their ass and break the tomahawk in half. Let's go Mets. And I'll see you with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.